same-sex couple, 27 would apply differently and both would be available, my lord. That would be not, my lord, a correct way of interpreting statute, my lord. Applying one section in one way to one class and differently to the class for which the act is enacted.
Yes, Mr. Solicitor.
Lord, please come to page 31, section 31. Court to which petition should be made. This is again not reconcilable. Section 31. Your Lordship gets, my lord?
Yes.
Section 31, my lords. My Lord Justice Narasimha gets.
Yes, yes.
Every petition under Chapter 5 or Chapter 6 shall be presented to the district court within the local limits of whose original jurisdiction marriage was solemnized. Respondent at the time of presentation resides. Parties to the marriage last resided together, or please see 3A. In case the wife is the petitioner, where she is residing on the date of presentation of the petitioner. In case of a gay marriage, who will be the wife? In case of a lesbian's marriage, who will be the wife? In case of a transgender marriage, who will be the wife? These questions will arise. And my lord, we cannot leave it just that in individual cases, they would be taken care of. Across the country, this would arise. Lord, now kindly come to section 36. Alimony pendant light. Your Lordship gets, my lord? Your Lordship gets, 36. Yes. Where in any proceedings under Chapter 5 or Chapter 6, that is judicial separation or divorce, it appears to the district court that the wife has no independent income sufficient for her support and the necessary expenses of the proceedings, it may, on the application of the wife, order the husband to pay to her the expenses of proceeding and weekly or monthly during the proceedings such sum as having regard to husband's income, it may seem to the court to be reasonable. Now, my lord, if your lordships were to read person, applicable to all, then, my lord, right of a non-LGBTQ wife will be taken away, because then husband can also claim alimony from her.
Just come again.
My lord,
but that's happening in heterosexual marriages too, Mr. Mehta. That's we've all come across it at different times in our jurisdictions, where the husband also claims.
But here only wife is given right. Please read it again. From the husband. Lord, may I slightly rephrase this? It says, if the wife establishes that she has no means of income,
right,
she can apply, and husband is under an obligation to give her maintenance pendently. Now, my lord, first of all, there cannot be any decision by the court who is the wife in same-sex relationship. I'm not elaborating, my lord. But if your lordships were to read person instead of husband and wife, correct? So one person will be entitled to claim maintenance from another person, meaning thereby, in case of heterosexual marriages to which this act applies. In fact, it applies only to them, according to us. A husband can also claim maintenance pendent lite from wife. And heterosexual.
Alternately, if it is interpreted to read as person only in the case of a same-sex marriage, then there will be a distinction between same-sex and heterosexual couples.
That again,
because in the case of a heterosexual couple, the husband cannot claim maintenance under 36. But in the case of a same-sex couple, we would be reading it in such a way that either spouse can claim it from both.
But one of the men can. If he claims that I am the wife,
Oh, it depends. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He says, I am the wife. Or in a lesbian couple, one of them says that I am the wife.
Depending
Because
on
one
the
of the arguments
orientation.
made was if you identify yourself with that
That's the
role,
orientation.
Orientation, role. Role was the word used.
Role was
That
the
I
word
play
used.
the role
Right.
of a wife. And which court, my lord? How can the court decide what is true?
that will
Suppose
become a preliminary issue.
it would
That will become a
Jurisdictional
preliminary
issue.
it would be. My lord, therefore,
issue.
and
whether it's maintained.
That's an impossible.
and again, my lord, fundamentally,
That inquiry to say that who
24 of the Hindu Marriage Act that permits both husband and wife,
Wife to
to claim.
either party to marry.
Yes, my lord.
That's why we've come across in many.
Yeah, we lordships come across because 36 of this act restricts only entitlement to wife.
Wife.
It was in that sense, it was a progressive enactment.
Yes.
It went beyond because it recognized that
It could be a husband.
Any one of the two
could be one
spouses
of
could
the
be
two.
destitute.
Even
Depending-
section 124 CRPC
I was just going to say.
entitles even parents to claim
Yeah.
maintenance. Parents, children, etc.
some of those things came because of amendment.
In Muslim law, my lord, it's different again.
But 125, the obligation is straight on on his wife, neglects to maintain his wife.
Your
His
lordships are on
legitimate or
125?
illegitimate, 125.
125, my lord, yes.
His legitimate or illegitimate minor child.
His wife, unable
His
to
legitimate or
maintain
illegitimate
or
child. His father or
legitimate
mother.
illegitimate children, his legitimate or illegitimate child, his father, mother, etc.
125 doesn't apply to women.
That's again is
Maintain her
restricted
husband
to.
or
But 24% talks of husband or wife.
Yes, yes,
Any of
yes.
the two.
Either way, my lord, if wife is more, my lord, has more means of, my lord, income, etc.,
Strong.
then husband can also, my lord,
That's right.
claim maintenance. Now, my lord, last section, 39A, Special Marriage Act. I am not, my lord, troubling your lordships any further. 39A, enforcement of decrees and orders. All decrees and orders made by the court in proceedings under Chapter 5 or Chapter 6 shall be enforced in the like manner as the decrees and order of the court made in exercise of its original civil jurisdiction for the time being are enforced. My lord, I'll show there are separate provisions in CPC for execution for male and for female.
perhaps we can conceptualize your argument by saying that reading the provisions of the Special Marriage Act, and if the court were to make an effort, as the petitioners say, to reinterpret the provisions, there would be three major problems. One, it will involve substantial rewriting of the legislation. Two, it may also involve the court ignoring some provisions which have been introduced as a matter of public policy, as we saw the additional grounds in the case of a woman for divorce. And third, it would involve reinterpretation of personal law, because there are segments of the Special Marriage Act which specifically contain a reference to the personal law. So there is no way in that, the third category, there's no manner in which the court can avoid the interface between the Special Marriage Act and
the personal
law.
And I'll respectfully add the fourth, that court would not read any statute so as to make it applicable to one class differently and another class differently. Yes, and my lord, there are several questions, my lord. Some of the questions were
Mehta, just to clarify, 39 once more.
The thing is not one.
Lord, and with the ingenuity of lawyers and litigants, my lord, it may not be a far-fetched idea, my lord, that a heterosexual couple can come and say that now apply me the provisions which you have read for LGBTQ, because we may be heterosexual, but internally we are not. I feel different way, etc. I don't wish to elaborate any further, but it opens room for several my lord, complications which your lordships cannot conceive right now. So now,
will you repeat yourself on what you were pointing out in section 39, appeals from decrees and order? What was the point you were making?
Core of our philosophy.
Section 39.
39A, my lord, the decree will be executed as if it is decree of the civil court under civil procedure.
Right.
And I'll show there are separate provisions for male and female under the CPs.
We can't read.
My first note yesterday, file, my lord, page 61.
Just 1 second.
My lord, it is note 1. It's a submission on the question that only legislature can deal with. That's, my lord, the title. Yesterday's note, my lord.
Yesterday's note.
Note
Page
1.
61, that is 64, PDF 64.
Just 1
65.
second.
Sorry.
PDF 64, note 1.
God, not 1. PDF 65.
You can't get here.
Yeah, yes.
Petitioners.
Lord, now
Para 112,
114.
114.
Next page, brother. Maybe you're reading.
Yes. No, you had read up to 113.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. But 114. I'm not going to read the whole.
What's the
I'm just giving
PDF
the
page?
flavor of other provisions, which will be affected, my lord, when which are not before your lordships. Now, my lord, Indian Succession Act undisputably applies.
65.
Yes.
My lord, Indian Succession Act undisputably applies to all except Hindus. Hindu would be governed by the Hindu Succession Act. In a given situation, if he marries Hindu, otherwise Indian Succession Act. Now, this also, my lord, kindly just 1 or 2 sections, just for the flavor. Domicile acquired by woman on marriage. By marriage, a woman acquires the domicile of her husband if she had not the same domicile before. So it will have to be decided who is the woman. Wife's domicile during marriage. A wife's domicile during her marriage follows the domicile of her husband. For passports, etc., this issue would arise and you will have to decide who is the wife. I'm not reading all, but my lord, Succession Act provides for widow, widower, husband, wife, father, mother, etc. Well, just highlighted part also, if you could, lordships can read. 33A. A widow but no lineal descendant and the net value of his property does not exceed the whole of his property shall belong to the widow. Now, my lord, if in this relationship one partner dies, whether he leaves behind a widow or a widower, then, my lord, your lordships may see 43 at the foot. In the intestate's father is dead, but the intestate's mother is living. Now, my lord, next generation, my lord, marriage is permitted, they adopt, and someone dies, and father and mother is, my lord, LGBTQ couple, who will be treated as dead as father and who will be treated as dead as mother? This would be the, my lord, dilemma and can't be, my lord, foreseen by your lordships. Now, please come to 115 and quickly, my lord, I'll take your lordships through the flavor of, my lord, other 160 sections which will be affected. Though they are not arising here, my lord, for your lordship's consideration, but inevitably they would be affected. They are not in question, they are not for interpretation also. But the moment your lordships reads the word person, in case of man and woman, wife and husband, these are the consequences which will follow. Just, my lord, highlighted part, and I'll read only some sections. I'll skip remaining section. Please see 1. Section 3G, degrees of prohibited relationship, your lordships have.
कहाँ पर पढ़ रहे हैं?
Where are you?
Sorry,
Where are you reading?
Lord, I'm sorry, page 115 of my yesterday's.
Para.
We were looking at.
He had
Even I was looking at that.
one file.
No, I'm sorry, my lord, page 115. My apologies.
Mr. Solicitor, what PDF page is it?
It was 119, my lords.
119, right, Hindu Marriage Act
Yes.
on the top, right.
You are giving us PDF pages by asking your junior. You are supposed to give us PDF pages by having your own.
No, my lord, I
electronic
have
pad open.
calculated it is +4. So it's a simple formula, my lord.
Mr. Solicitor, I'm putting you on notice.